ever was and walk into what is.
I fear those chains are breaking, yeah. I fear God, I don't fear death. I see those stripes and take a step.
Hi guys, I just got through seeing Creed 3, and it's been one of my most anticipated films of 2023, not only because it's the third Creed film in the trilogy, but it's like the ninth Rocky film if you include them all together as a series. Also too, because Michael B. Jordan is not only starring in this film, but he'll also be making his directorial debut. Also because Jonathan Majors looks like a fucking beast in this movie, and it makes me feel like B.A. Baracus or Clubber Lang all over again from Rocky 3, and that's one of my favorite Rocky movies. So that's why I was happy to run out and go see this film. Now, I will say that this movie is a decent film. I can't say it's the best in the Creed series. Creed 1 is still my favorite Creed film, but this movie is a farewell to, I guess, maybe the Creed series, because it seems like they may be setting something up for the future that may not involve Adonis himself. So to just get into it, I'm going to say that this film is probably just okay. It's not my favorite film in the Creed series. That still belongs to Creed number 1 because it was something fresh and new for the series. But Creed 3 kind of falls into what most films as the third one in a trilogy kind of fall into, where it's a lot of rinse and repeat of the same thing over and over again, to where you're kind of burnt out on it by the time you get to number 3. Not to say that this film doesn't have a lot of great parts about it, but it does have some things where it misses to where it kind of evens the movie out to just kind of be okay. I mean, it's Creed 3. We're not talking about Return of the Jedi here. But when we're talking about the things that this film does well, let's start off with the action scenes. Now, the action scenes in this is obviously going to be all of the boxing and the fight scenes. They do a really, really good job from movie to movie to try to change different kind of viewpoints and cinematography in the fights, making more realistic fights as opposed to it being very, very kind of dramatic and kind of over the top from the old Rocky films. These are kind of more like what you would see in a real fight, even though it does have that cinematic element to it. But they do a really, really good job, and I'm not sure if these were done all by Michael B. Jordan or did he bring in somebody to kind of help kind of choreograph these scenes. But they did a good job in them as well. Even into the final fight scene that happens in the movies, this is no spoiler, but they do some things that I've never seen in a boxing film before, where it talks more about like their relationship and their struggle, and more along the fight of them within themselves versus each other. So I thought that was a really great job in here. Number 2 thing that I liked about this film is Jonathan Majors' performance. I already said that he is a beast. The dude worked out like crazy to get Jack to be really considered a heavyweight champion in this, but I will say that his performance on screen probably kind of carried this film. Not to say that Michael B. Jordan didn't do a good job as far as what he gave on screen, but Jonathan Majors was definitely the focal point of this film, and that you were more worried about what he was doing, what he was thinking, and how he was feeling, because a lot of this movie is driven by his emotions of where he wanted to be and where he is in life. So I will give much props to Jonathan Majors as far as the great job that he did in here. A couple of the bads that I had about this film is the fact that there was some messy plot elements, so much so that it was trying to show a journey for Michael B. Jordan's character as a retired fighter and how he's kind of going on after life. I would not say it's not like Rocky 5. It's way better than Rocky 5, but there are some messy plot elements in it to where you kind of feel like some things aren't really resolved and they're just kind of pushed forward just for a story point and plot movement. But as a slight spoiler, I will tell you guys that my overall feeling when I left the movie was that Michael B. Jordan's character Adonis is a bad son, is a bad friend, and also a bad fight promoter. It was like the craziest thing. He just couldn't do anything right. And when we got to the end, it just kind of made me feel like I don't think any of that stuff was really, really resolved. And it just went to a final fight to just say, hey, we needed a final fight. Speaking of the final fight, I will say that they were at least more realistic as far as what's the aftermath of a fight between two fighters, where you would normally see in a Rocky film where it's kind of like, I beat the bad guy and the bad guy goes off into the distance. I know in Creed 2, they kind of gave more of a focus as far as what it's like to be the other fighter. This one talks about relationships and how we handle those relationships even when we've gone to battle versus each other. So I did kind of like that as a more realistic end as opposed to a more cinematic, dramatic end where it's just kind of like, I beat you and I moved on. So those are kind of my quick thoughts on Creed 3. Tell me what you guys think about it in the comments below. And if this is the first time that you're on the channel, make sure you subscribe as well as click the notification button so that way you're aware of all the other videos that we do on the channel. I'm going to try to do these reviews a little bit more often. Hopefully I can. I don't see movies as often as I used to see them. And I know I host a YouTube channel about movies. I'm going to do better, guys. Trust me. Other than that, you guys take care.
Guys, you're still with us? Great. I know it's the end of the year, and I know you guys are in the holiday spirit, the spirit of giving, right? So we're asking you to give us money. So if you look down below, you'll see where it says patreon.com/thegoods. Right there is if you have an excess amount of cash laying around. If you have not bought enough Christmas presents and you're wondering, who else can I bring joy to this year? Us. That's who you can bring joy to. Have you ever looked at us and you're like, man, they should get a better camera? You're right, because we don't have enough money to. You can help us do that. Patreon.com/thegoods. Help us out. We'd appreciate it. And you can be a part of the goods yourself.